All across America, I've seen more folks, myself included, stocking up on rifles that you can actually count on when things turn sideways. And you know, I am seeing a pattern of the rifles people are actually grabbing before they disappear off the shelves. Fellow preppers, this is Luke from Ant Prepper, and today we're diving into the most accurate, budget-friendly hunting rifles you can count on when the grid's down and your rifle's the only thing standing between you and an empty pot. But before we dive in, do me a solid, hit that like and subscribe button. Those clicks help keep this channel alive, and let me keep bringing real-world gear reviews to preppers, survivalists, and anyone just trying to make it through the madness out there. Now, let's get into it. Ruger 10-22 Takedown. The Ruger 10-22 Takedown is the rifle I keep closest to the door, packed and ready. Not because it's flashy or intimidating, but because it quietly checks every box a survival rifle needs to. It's chambered in .22 LR, so I can carry 500 rounds in a small pouch without thinking twice. The rifle breaks down in under 5 seconds, no tools, and fits neatly into the small black carry case Ruger ships with it. Mine lives in the back seat of my truck, paired with a brick of ammo and a suppressed barrel. The takedown system is simple. You lock the bolt back, push forward on the barrel latch, twist, and the barrel slides right off. Ruger nailed the tolerances. Everything locks up tight when reassembled, and it holds zero surprisingly well if you're running an optic on the receiver rail. The 10-round rotary mag feeds reliably, and aftermarket options like BX25 mags give you more if needed. The cold hammer-forged barrel is no slouch either. With decent ammo, I can knock down cans at 50 yards all afternoon. What sets it apart isn't just the reliability or the compactness, it's how many rolls it quietly fills. It's a small game getter, a training tool, a pack rifle, and in a pinch, a self-defense option. I don't baby it, I don't worry about it, and I know it's gonna fire when I need it. Now let's talk about a rifle that's even more compact and built with survival in mind from day one. Henry AR-7. You learn pretty quickly which rifles deserve a spot in your go bag, and the Henry AR-7 makes that cut without hesitation. It's not big, it's not loud, and it doesn't try to be anything it's not. But when you're out in the middle of nowhere, counting ounces and needing gear that just plain works, this rifle shows its worth. Designed originally for US Air Force pilots, the whole thing breaks down and stows inside its own stock. Barrel, receiver, and 2 magazines all fit snugly with zero rattle. And yes, the entire setup floats. I've tested it myself in a muddy creek off a logging trail, and it bobbed like a cork. It's a .22 LR blowback semi-auto that holds 8 rounds per mag. Weighs about 3.5 pounds, and once you learn the reassembly, it takes less than a minute, and you've got a functional rifle that fits in places most guns won't. The barrel is steel with a polymer coating, and the stock is ABS plastic, sealed against the elements. I've carried it in snow and rain, and it didn't hiccup once. For small game, it's a solid performer out to 40 yards, especially with standard velocity ammo. The fixed sights aren't fancy, but they hold true. This isn't a ranch rifle or a plinker you toss in for fun. It's a backup plan in rifle form. It's made for the kind of situations where silence, packability, and reliability matter more than the rate of fire. Now, if you need something that folds, feeds off your sidearm mags, and disappears behind a truck seat, the next one might be what you're looking for. KelTec Sub-2000 Gen 2. The KelTec Sub-2000 Gen 2 earns its place in my lineup for one simple reason. It folds in half and feeds from the same Glock mags as my sidearm. That kind of compatibility cuts weight, simplified logistics, and makes life easier when I'm loading out for the unknown. The rifle folds at the barrel hinge and locks shut with a simple latch near the stock, dropping its footprint to just over 16 inches. I can drop it into a pack, slip it under a truck seat, or even stash it behind the passenger door without needing a rifle case. Mine is chambered in 9mm and takes Glock 17 magazines, though KelTec also offers versions that accept SIG and M and P mags if that's your setup. The barrel is 16.25 inches, chrome-lined, and threaded for a suppressor. It gives your handgun ammo a noticeable bump in velocity, and I've watched 115-grain FMJs punch clean groups at 75 yards. The whole rifle weighs just over 4 pounds unloaded, which makes it easy to carry and fast to shoulder. What I like most is how simple it is. Blowback action, minimal controls, polymer receiver, and an updated Gen 2 aluminum handguard with M-lock slots. It doesn't pretend to be a battle rifle. It's a practical carbine that disappears until it's needed. Charging handle sits under the tube, spring-loaded and easy to reach. No frills, just function. It's not my go-to for high round count sessions, but it stays zeroed, cycles clean, and earns its place in any serious truck or bug-out kit. For something with more reach and a longer track record in American hands, let's move to the Ruger Mini 1.4. It may not fold, but it's been holding the line for decades. Ruger Mini 1.4. If I'm putting together a rifle setup that needs to run no matter where I am, in the backcountry, on a ranch, or driving through a storm, it's hard not to reach for the Mini 1.4. Ruger built this rifle with the kind of mechanical honesty that makes it feel dependable from the first shot. It's chambered in 223 rem and handles 5.56 just fine, but it doesn't wear the tactical badge like an AR. That's part of the draw. It looks more like a ranch tool than a battle rifle, which matters when you don't want to turn heads or make a scene. The gas system is based on the M1 Garand. That means a fixed piston, rotating bolt, and fewer headaches from carbon buildup. I've put everything from old steel case surplus to fresh brass reloads through mine, and it keeps cycling. The stainless model with the synthetic stock has been with me through rain and dust and has never once locked up or thrown off zero. It's just under 7 pounds, has an 18.5-inch barrel, and fits into just about any role you need, from property defense to medium game if you're careful with shot placement. The mags are proprietary, but Ruger's factory ones are solid. I've kept a few 20-rounders loaded for months with no feed issues. Controls are intuitive, and the built-in scope mounts on the receiver make optic setup simple, without chasing down third-party parts. For survival use, it bridges that line between practical and proven. Not overly modern, not stuck in the past. Just a reliable, well-balanced rifle that disappears in a truck and speaks up when you need it to. Now, if you're after something with more punch, built around a classic lever gun frame, the next one makes sense, and many Americans think the same too. Marlin 1895. Big bore lever guns aren't usually the first thing folks think of when they hear survival rifle, but the Marlin 1895 keeps proving otherwise. Mine sits loaded in a saddle scabbard during elk season and rides in the cab when I'm headed into bear country. It runs 45 to 70 government, which means I've got 6 rounds in the tube that can handle anything on this continent. Whether it's hogs in the brush or something heavier moving through the timber, I don't have to second guess the power behind each pull. The 1895 GBL I carry has a 19.1-inch cold hammer forged barrel and a big loop lever that cycles smoothly, even with gloves. The laminate stock holds up against weather, and the side-loading gate makes topping off feel natural. It weighs just under 8 pounds and balances well across the hand. The newer Ruger-made versions fix the old QC issues. Timing, fit, and finish are all tight now. I've dropped mine in mud, knocked it against rock, and it just keeps feeding and firing without drama. Some folks like the newer SBL version with the full-length optic rail and ghost ring sights. I run a scout scope with a low-power variable, but even iron sights alone will get the job done inside 150. MSRP floats around $1,000, sometimes a bit more depending on the trim. But what you're really buying is a rifle that stays simple and hits hard. If weight is more of a concern than stopping power, the next one is definitely a no-brainer. CZ457 Scout. The CZ457 Scout doesn't scream survival rifle when you first shoulder it, but it earns its place the moment you carry it a few miles or stack tight groups on a stump at 50 yards with a bulk 22. Mine came along on a trip through northern Arizona, packed alongside gear meant to stay light and low profile. It weighs a little over 5 pounds, balances well with a sling, and fits easily inside a pack. The 16.5-inch cold hammer forged barrel keeps it compact without giving up any real-world accuracy. What sold me on it wasn't the weight or the finish. It was the trigger. CZ made it fully adjustable, so you can fine-tune the brake and pull weight right out of the box. And it's not a plastic trigger shoe either. It feels solid like it belongs on a rifle twice the price. The bolt throw is smooth and consistent. You don't get binding or drag, just clean cycling that works, whether you're going slow and methodical or fast loading between shots. The Beechwood stock might be marketed toward youth shooters, but that shorter length of pull actually works great for pack, carry, and field use. The sights are clean, simple irons, but the 11mm dovetail up top makes it easy to drop a scope or red dot without any special tools or adapters. I keep mine zeroed with a fixed 4X, and it hits everything I need inside 100 yards. It's a small rifle with a lot of capability, and when space and weight matter, the Scout holds its own better than most rifles in its class. Next is a rimfire that brings AR controls, a full-sized feel, and semi-auto speed to the table. Smith & Wesson M&P 1522. The Smith & Wesson M&P 15-22 earned a permanent spot in my kit after a weekend in the woods, where it handled everything from target drills to dropping squirrels near camp. It feels and runs like a full-size AR, but it weighs just over 5 pounds and eats 22 LR without flinching. Of course, that kind of setup gives you the familiarity of a 5.56 rifle with none of the weight or recoil, and that's exactly why more folks are stashing one in their truck or bug-out bag. The upper and lower are both polymers, but it doesn't feel cheap. It feels fast. The 16-inch barrel is threaded, which made dropping a suppressor on mine a no-brainer. The rifle's controls match any mil-spec AR platform. Same safety selector, mag release, charging handle, and bolt catch. That matters when your muscle memory is built around ARs. You're not adjusting to anything new, just saving on weight and ammo. It comes optic ready, with a full-length pick rail and solid flip-up sights. The M-LOK handguard gives you all the real estate you need for lights or a sling mount. The 25-round factory mags feed clean, and I've had zero failures with decent bulk ammo. It's a rimfire, yes, but it's one you can rely on for real work, whether that's training new shooters, thinning out varmints, or staying ready when every ounce counts. When you want high capacity and rapid follow-up in a light platform, it's hard to beat. But if your survival priorities lean more toward lever action power in a classic frame with a modern twist, the next one might speak your language. Browning BLR Lightweight. The Browning BLR Lightweight is the rifle I keep coming back to when I want big caliber performance without carrying a full-blown bolt gun. I've carried one chambered in. 308 through hardwoods in Maine and across open country in Wyoming, and it handles both just fine. It's light enough to sling all day, around 6.8 pounds, but still carries the authority of a proper rifle cartridge. The detachable box magazine sets it apart from every other lever gun I've used. You're not stuck with round-nose bullets or slow reloads. You can carry extra mags flat in your coat or side pocket and top off fast without fumbling with loading gates. The action is smooth and tight. Browning uses a rack and pinion gear system inside the lever to cycle the rotary bolt, and the lockup feels solid with every shot. The trigger's clean, no slop, and doesn't feel like an afterthought. The barrel is 20 inches and comes already drilled and tapped, which makes mounting glass straightforward. The aluminum receiver keeps weight down, but nothing on this rifle feels flimsy or cheap. Even the wood stock is finished well and holds up to bumps and weather. I've dropped coyotes, hogs, and whitetail with mine, using soft point, 308 loads, and it's never once failed to feed, fire, or extract. For a survival rifle that blends traditional handling with modern function, the BLR has earned its spot. You can hunt, defend, and travel light without giving up power or precision. And finally, AR-15. The AR-15 stays at the top of the survival rifle list because no other rifle in the US gives you this much flexibility, part availability, and ease of repair. I've built, carried, and relied on a handful of them over the years, and each one fills a specific role, from truck gun to pack rifle to home defense setup. What makes it stand out for survival isn't just its performance, it's the ecosystem around it. You can find replacement parts, upgrades, and mags in almost every corner of the country. That kind of accessibility matters when you're preparing for the long haul. A standard AR 15 inches 5.56 NATO usually runs between $500 and $1,500, depending on whether you're building from a stripped lower or buying from a name like BCM, Daniel Defense, or Aero Precision. Barrel lengths range from 10.5 inches in pistols up to 20-inch rifle builds. Mine's a 16-inch mid-length gas system with a free-float M-LOK handguard and a lightweight BCG coated in nitride for easier cleaning. The modularity is where the AR earns its keep. You can swap uppers in seconds, change calibers with nothing more than a barrel and bolt, and drop in triggers that suit your shooting style. It's easy to maintain, easy to clean, and forgiving when it comes to user error. With iron sights or a red dot, you're good from 25 out to 300 yards, and the recoil stays light enough for anyone in the family to handle. Whether you're setting up for defense, hunting, or general preparedness, the AR gives you more options than anything else out there. It's the American survival rifle for a reason.